Destiny 2 The Final Shape is finally out, and after completing the campaign on Legendary difficulty, I can say with absolute certainty that I think it was worth the wait. So I want to start out by going into kind of vague, spoiler-free territory, but then after that I want to go into more specifics and what I think will happen after The Final Shape, and after the raid. For some context, this footage that is recorded is from early on in the game, as well as other activities as to not spoil anything, and that hasn't really been shown by Bungie themselves already. Also, apologies for the occasional stuttering footage, I'll mention it later, but to make it brief, OBS and Destiny do not work well. To start with the story, it wasn't too bad. I think it was pretty good. The most obvious character on everyone's mind is Cade, and it's good to have him back, and he's not a gimmick either. His inclusion makes sense and feels meaningful. His comedy is just perfect too. Think closer to something like Taken King Cade over Red War Forsaken Cade. If you had a graph of characters with Zavala in the Red War being boring and stoic, and Nimrod being the goofy and retarded side, Cade sits perfectly in the middle. Not too goofy, but still makes jokes that don't interrupt the scene either. Like we aren't going to go to a screeching halt so that Cade can say a funny. But he can be serious when he needs to be, which is nice, and those scenes are quite good. The other characters here are well developed too. We take elements that are built up from past seasons that all come together here. Knowing some of that seasonal content will help, but it isn't necessary to understand exactly what's going on. The Witness is also built up a lot more here. While I think we could have seen them do a little bit more, what we did get was pretty good. And to be clear, the Witness isn't another Oryx or Gaul type character. This motherfucker is manipulative and fucks with your head and is honestly kind of scary for that. I think the biggest downside is that the story takes a bit to get going. Like it doesn't really seem like we're doing a whole lot for a little while, but once the thing happens, we really get moving and it just becomes a whole lot better. The gameplay is fantastic. If the story was pretty good or decent, the gameplay is great. It's a lot better. Interesting puzzles and mechanics that constantly change and evolve, mechanics being put together for boss encounters. It's great. In fact, the boss fights and the encounters that don't use boss mechanics or anything like that, or don't use mechanics at all, are easily my least favorite. Not to say that they're bad, but they're just not very interesting and not a ton of fun compared to the other ones. But hey, it's still leagues better than anything we got in Lightfall, which I guess isn't really saying a lot. The Pale Heart looks amazing as well. It's such a phenomenal looking area. It's beautiful, tranquil, nostalgic at the start, but it slowly turns into this nightmare of like mismatched objects and terrain, giving you this idea of what the final shape will look like. It's so fucking cool. You gotta play it. It looks great. The smaller patrol details like lost sectors are also really good, really pushing what a lost sector can be, not quite to its limit, but they do seem to be getting better and better each year. And they've also become like a small endgame activity itself, almost like a micro dungeon. The weapons are also pretty great. I've only used a few of them, but the ones that I have used are really cool. The new Echo's grenade launcher, the Strand rocket pistol, the support frame auto rifle are huge standouts. I'm really loving a lot of these new weapons, and I'm looking forward to obtaining the others. But we can't move forward without mentioning the servers shitting themselves. This sort of stuff looked like it was going to become more manageable, with it taking little time to get into the game with Witch Queen and Lightfall, but I had a fair amount of server issues. The DLC dropped at 1 PM for me, and I had to leave at 2:30 PM. I thought I could get maybe 30 minutes into the game at least. Nah, bitch, I sat there and saw this fucking issue, this server issue, for an hour and 30 minutes. I was pissed, and by the time I got home at like 5, the game was letting me in, but I was having issue after issue after issue. Even OBS wasn't handling it well. From what I can tell, whenever the game had to add a weapon to my inventory and I had to use the API, the game would shit itself and tank my frames. And here's a short montage of shit going wrong. Again, apologies for all the stuttering. I just feel like this needs to be shown. It wants me to play the campaign, but I literally can't play it. Like, this is fucking retarded. Yeah, Bungie, I would like to play the other stuff, but you kind of fucking booted me. Alright, now moving on to spoilers. If you don't want to get spoiled, then thank you for watching. Go and play the fucking campaign already. Honestly, this campaign does start kinda slow. Finding everyone takes a bit. I understand the slower pace since you're trying to get the gang back together again, like we've done before, but also this place is so fucking weird that trying to figure out what's going on is important, so I can kind of understand it taking a little bit longer from that perspective. While Cade was a great character, and I especially like the way he does, like, you know, what needs to be done for the mission, I think we do get to see a side of Cade and characters' reactions to Cade coming back that I really enjoyed. Seeing Ikora get pissed at Cade and yell at him was great. It made a lot of sense. But by far, I think the best character was Zavala. I know I've seen a lot of people with contention online about his character, like them saying, oh, well, you know, I thought he got over this. I thought, you know, we went over this in Season of the Haunted. Why is, you know, all this trauma being brought back up? But the thing is, the Witness does that. That's the whole point of the Witness, is that they bring out, you know, all of these things that you kind of mourn and have, you know, felt back about, and accentuates them. Zavala losing a loved one, he thought he moved on, but what the Witness does is makes those feelings of guilt and loss like 10 times worse. So him, you know, all the stuff that happens, at least to me, made a lot of sense. His loss of faith is also something that has made a lot of sense. We can see over time that he's slowly lost more and more faith in the Traveler, and it really seems like now is the time where he's completely lost faith in it, and is, you know, starting to follow, you know, maybe Osiris's ideas, where it's like, maybe we should look at the darkness. Maybe we should try and take a look at this. And I think that perspective, you know, Zavala has been kind of fighting, is going to be interesting for his character moving forward, if he does live, which is moving on to my next point here. Something I did want to see, this is going to sound a little fucked up, but something I did want to see is I did want to see, like, someone actually die. And I mean, Tarj was dead or whatever, but like, I don't know, like, I understand the impact that it'll have on Zavala, but I just kind of know that Zavala won't die because he's the Vanguard vendor. Unless Bungie has a replacement, and unless they have, you know, a way to work around this, I don't think they're going to be killing off Zavala because he's the Vanguard vendor, and it's kind of the issue that I have with Destiny as a whole. They have all these characters as vendors, and unless they're like a kind of unimportant vendor, there's like zero chance they're getting killed. And I think that really I really think that hurts the game quite a bit, just because it removes the stakes for a lot of characters, and it makes me think, all right, this character is a vendor, all right, they could probably die. But other than that, I'm not a big fan of it, and I hope they go against it, but I highly doubt they will. There are also a lot of questions that we still want answers to, like what the Traveler is, what the Gardener is. I'm gonna be honest, I think we'll get those answers, and I'd be surprised if we don't at the very least, but I think right now the focus is not on answering these questions about the Traveler. I think the focus is on killing the Witness. I think we need to defeat the Witness before we can start asking those questions. A world-ending threat is in front of us. We should be shooting first and asking questions later, and I think we are going to get more answers later. And again, the story isn't technically done yet. I know there are a lot of people online, like this dipshit, who will say that this is a cliffhanger and disregard that the raid that happens is after the campaign and is supposed to continue the story, and there are supposed to be story missions after the raid as well. And I mean, will I play the raid? Probably not. And I don't have a team for it, but you know, that's fine to me. This is the end of Destiny for people who have been sticking around for years. This was made for those people. I want to go on a side tangent and say that the casuals will complain about this a lot and say, oh, only 5% of players will end up playing the raid. You know what? Fuck them. I say fuck them. Whenever Bungie caters to casual players, the game suffers, and I'm glad they aren't doing that here. They're giving us hard content. They're giving us new ways to make complex builds. The raid is supposed to be one of the hardest that we've ever experienced, and we're getting gear that is worth grinding for. This isn't an expansion for casual players, and I'm happy to be saying that. As mentioned previously, the gameplay for this expansion is excellent. If you aren't a fan of the story, the gameplay delivers. I enjoy the dungeon-esque missions that we're getting here. Hell, some of the missions feel like mini dungeons. Introduce one or two mechanics, give them a chance to use them, and then throw us into a boss fight. I really like it, and I personally find it a ton of fun. In fact, the bosses, once again, where we don't get those mechanics, are by far the weakest. The boss fight where you have to kill 3 wizards and then a tormentor, that shit sucked. That was probably my least favorite part of the campaign. We didn't even get pools to use Prismatic, and I kept getting grabbed in ways that reminded me of the bullshit from Dark Souls 2. The final boss fight was decent, not my favorite by far. I would say I definitely liked the Savathun fight more, but I wouldn't say that I enjoyed the Callus fight as much as this. But, you know, I really enjoyed how tense it was, having to bait the witness and kill these little bastards at your feet with the Aegis thing. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I liked to see how difficult it was, and I'm interested to see how difficult it will be on normal, because towards the end, it was beating my ass on legendary. Enough for me to consider taking a short break, and after each boss fight, I would take around like 5 minutes just to sit back and collect myself a little bit before throwing myself into the next part. So I have since played the second mission on easy mode or on normal mode, and it is piss easy. Like, it is crazy how easy it is. So I'm surprised there's that much of a difference from, you know, this easy as shit normal mission to the legendary version, which is considerably harder. But I would recommend playing the legendary version of this, especially if you have friends. Play the legendary version of this. Do not play normal. Normal is just way too easy. You have to basically like cap yourself. Like, you can't use supers on normal mode. If you see in this footage here, I literally take off almost the entire boss's health with one Nova Bomb. Like, that is crazy. That is so little health. To be clear, I also haven't done any of the exotic missions yet, but I am excited about doing a lot of them. They seem super interesting and, well, exotic. A special ammo sword, kinetic trace rifle, golden gun sniper. This shit is crazy cool, and I'm really looking forward to obtaining them and getting some of that new raid loot as well. Where we go from here is yet to be seen, but at the moment, I would give this expansion around an 8 out of 10 if I were to put a number on it. I'd say it's about on par with the Witch Queen for me, since I don't think the story is as good as the Witch Queen DLC, but in terms of the gameplay, I think it's a lot better. And also stuff like the open world, the loot, all seems to be better in this DLC compared to something like the Witch Queen. Not to say that the Witch Queen stuff was bad in the first place. I'm excited for the raid. I'm excited for the stuff that comes about. I'm excited for the raid. I'm excited for the stuff that comes after, and also what Echoes has to bring. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in Echoes. Anyway, if you've made it this far, why haven't you liked the video and subscribed yet? What the fuck is wrong with you? Do that, or I don't know, I'll eat your fucking cat. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. The Beyond Light video is being worked on ASAP. I'm really working hard on the script. It's pretty much done now. Hopefully we won't be waiting months between the Destiny uploads, and now that there's more people to watch them, I'll definitely be, working a bit harder at that. Also, thank you all so much for getting me past 3,000 subscribers. It really does mean a lot to me, and all week I've just been looking at comments and reading them and checking my analytics and all that fun stuff. I'm gonna keep going with the content train, and hopefully, I don't know, let's see if I can get past 5K subs by the end of the year. I think that'd be really awesome. You know, I'd really like if we can do that. So let's see if we can make it happen, and let's see if we can make myself another villain of Destiny per se. But anyway, once again, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate you all taking the time to listen to this and, you know, listen to me talk about this and ramble for goddamn, what is it, like 15 minutes? But yeah, I hope to see you all very, very soon in a Beyond Light video. See y'all later. Bye bye.